folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys present Tales of the Trophies, the Big Ten's greatest rivalries, Thanksgiving week edition. What's up, boys? How we doing?
Doing great.
How much sleep have you guys gotten recently?
A little tired. I got about 2 hours last night.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yes. I think I just had I'm actually pretty decent on no sleep. But I think I just had I'm realizing I had a really terrible sleep schedule before the baby. So I'm not really I mean, it's tough, but I'm not maybe getting hit as hard as I had thought I would.
The way your dog sleeps in your bed, I can't, I understand why you have a bad sleep schedule.
Yeah. And the fact that he needs to be up like Ria's a pretty strict regimen. Yeah.
Just put him in a diaper. Put down some fake
diaper that dog.
Or something, dude.
Getting pretty good at it.
It's not that he wants to eat, when it's time to eat, man, you can't. He'll go right back to bed, but he when it's time to eat.
That's why you need to do a Doc Brown that thing.
There are like self-feeding dog feeders that you can set on timers. Yeah. But knowing him, he would figure out how to change that. He'd eat the entire thing.
He is a little son of a bitch. So good dog, great dog. Just
he likes to sleep like a human. It is what it is.
Yeah. That's what I found out.
All right, yeah, we this is a big week. I mean, it's like Mike said, Thanksgiving weekend. We have football all the time, which is fantastic. We have hockey. We have college basketball is back. This is just a great week to be at home.
Yes.
Just relaxing and having a TV on.
We are #blessed, especially when you find out that your hometown just put in a casino with a full FanDuel sportsbook.
Saw that. Looked pretty nice.
Oh, it was nice. Oh, it was.
It's
it was
FanDuel.
Nice. Yeah, it's official FanDuel sportsbook. Yeah, nice. It is quite the setup that they have. They took a little bit of my money on blackjack. Not gonna lie.
It is like an actual casino.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
So we played. There's a Guy Fieri bar there. So we ate the Guy Fieri bar. Then we played some blackjack. And then I put what I had left on blackjack on black because Wesley Snipes said always bet on black, but Wesley Snipes a freaking liar. So instead of doubling up and walking out with some money in my pocket, I just put it back in the mutual fund. But it's all right because I think I'm gonna go there around Christmas. I don't think I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
back
you're going
Christmas.
to get it back, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna go back.
Just holding
Christmas
it for you.
And, yeah,
charge them
holding
interest
it for me. Yeah. So it was great, man. It was a treat. You boys will have to come visit sometime and we'll have a good time.
I have been there once.
Not to this casino.
No, not to the casino, but to Latrobe.
Really?
For a wedding.
Oh yes, that's right.
Are you serious? Yeah, I think we went to we went to an airport for dinner and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think
that's right.
I think Arnie Palmy was there.
Yeah.
Arnie Palmy. Yeah, man. It really is a godsend. It really to the community, because what brings in more money than a casino, right? So it's awesome. That's good to see, because that mall is very special to me as a formative youth. Spent much of my time roaming the corridors of the mall there, so I'm glad to see that it won't die, at least as long as the casino's around. So
yeah, just bringing you back to be a degenerate gambler.
Nothing wrong with that, pal.
I didn't say it was. It's just saying it's bringing you back.
Speaking of that, I just want to highlight that I won a bet. Was that last night? 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
Finally won a bet. It's been, a long week.
Monday night.
Yeah. Yep. NHL. So I'm back on track. So good to go.
Nice. Yeah. I lost a lot of my bets yesterday. I threw a lot at the wall, and usually I come away with something. This was the first time in a long time I came away with absolutely nothing.
I'm on a nice little heater. College football, really good college football Saturday, decent NFL Sunday, and then I hammered there was a boost for Freiermuth and Najee to score a touchdown, and I went to bed when the touchdown happened.
I didn't. I saw that one and I didn't do it because I don't know. Freiermuth is. I mean, he's been coming on lately, but I didn't feel it. But And it
I
didn't
totally
look like it for 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, you're telling me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna see how this first drive goes. If it looks like shit, I'm going to sleep. And then sure enough, it's 3rd and 18, and we let up a first down. And I'm like, all right, I know how this is going. And as I'm getting as soon as they gave up that first down, I'm like, okay, I know it's gonna happen. So I go get water and everything. I come back in the room, and Keenan Allen or someone is scampering for a touch, or Eckler was scampering for his 3rd touchdown of the game. I'm like, well, that'll do it, boys. We'll see you tomorrow. So, hey, at least I won money. So
there it is. All right. So why don't we have a lot to go through. This is a really exciting episode. A lot of good college football happened last week. A lot of great college football is happening this week. So why don't we talk about what we're drinking? So Joe, what do we got for today?
Sure. This week we like we mentioned in the past couple episodes, there's been some redundancy with drinks and locations and areas. So this time we went with something just pretty simple. We went with the winter whiskey sour. So I think I mentioned a few times my go-to is whiskey sour. So this is just a little winter take on it. You're using your bourbon, whiskey, whatever you want to use, really. I went with Jack Honey just because it kind of fit with everything. You want that. You're going to have 1 tablespoon lemon juice, 1 tablespoon orange juice, half a tablespoon of simple syrup, and then you can top it with an orange slice or 2. And you just make it like a normal traditional whiskey sour. You're going to throw that all in the shaker, shake it up, pour it over ice, and then you can garnish it. The recipe that I sent you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
It calls for a little honey rim, and then you put gold glitter on the rim. I don't think either of you guys did that, and I didn't either. I put a little honey on top just for,
me too. Yeah,
see if I could taste it and how it went. But so this is it. So just a little whiskey sour.
Oh, that looks great, Joe.
Yeah,
thank you.
So you didn't get your small what was it, paintbrush out to lightly brush the honey on?
I only had medium husky paintbrushes, so didn't have small.
Yeah, so, I used my finger to put the honey on the rim, and then I kind of forgot about it and was really like wondering why my hand was getting all sticky, and then I realized that there was just like honey on the other side of the glass I haven't been drinking on. So.
And separately, before we try this, I went to the store earlier to grab the orange and orange juice and all that, which I didn't need because one of my coworkers sent us an edible arrangement, and we had oranges perfectly sliced on sticks ready to go, which I ended up using. Nice. I'm an idiot. But so yeah, anyway, I went to the store and I picked up New Holland's Dragon's Milk White. So a little treat for myself over the holiday. So
I didn't even know they had a white.
Yeah, they have it at Harris Teeter. So if you're nice, maybe I'll save you one.
Ooh. So what is that?
It's the white.
Yeah,
it's a bourbon. It's a barrel aged white stout. So it's very similar, but it's got like vanilla, and I think it was cocoa and like almond flavors in it.
Damn.
So
that sounds pretty good.
That sounds fantastic. I personally love this drink. I love whiskey sours too, and the fact that I didn't have to like go buy sour mix. I don't know, something about just using the orange juice and the lemon juice that just, I don't know, made it taste.
Yeah, and most people have simple syrup at home already. So, and you can also make it like we did with the Dragon's Milk. You can make that with different beers or kind of boil stuff down. So
yeah.
But all right, well, should we try it, or I guess keep trying it?
Yeah, I had to drink it.
Cheers.
Yeah, no, this was definitely like I'm with you, Joe. I love whiskey sours, and something about the real juice just made it taste a little better.
So I'm at my mom's house, and I didn't have a chance to make this because she's in Thanksgiving mode. So I'm not trying to like infiltrate that kitchen.
Yeah.
But I do have a special drink. So I want you guys to give me your tasting notes and thoughts on this drink, and then I want to tell you guys what I'm drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I personally I probably rate this one of the high. I mean, I like whiskey sours, so I think I would take this whiskey sour with the fresh juice over a sour mix. So for me, this is probably like a 4.75. Like I'm probably gonna drink a few more tonight. Maybe, I don't know. I have to be up every 2 hours, so.
Yeah, I like it. It's not super sour, and I think that's because you have the fresh orange juice and lemon juice, which is good. So I like it too. I do like them usually pretty sours, but this is good because it's fresh and nice. It's smooth. I don't really taste much honey, but I do taste my Jack honey, so maybe that's it. I don't. What did you use for whiskey?
Just bullet bourbon.
Okay.
I will say that maybe the best thing about this podcast is it turned me on to whiskey sours because I was never a fan
Really?
until so I'm gonna try this one because the other one that we made, oh gosh, I have no idea what episode it was, but when we made that whiskey sour with the float, I thought that was just divine.
Oh,
and I've
yeah,
made
yeah.
that since then. So like, that's because the float, like you feel so good when you do it right. So.
So this one, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it could use the egg white kind of to bring it all
true.
together. That would be nice. But yeah, it's a solid, easy drink to make. So give it a 4.
So for me today, and no free ads, but free ads, Four Roses small batch select. So this is Joe, when you weren't with us last time, I was talking about how I went to the liquor store by me and I picked up, they had 1910, 1924 stirs. So I'll take one of each of those.
Nice.
And they had, I picked up my Knob Creek, and then I'm checking out behind the counter. They had Jefferson's rye aged in cognac barrels. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And then they
getting
had
expensive.
this. Yeah, well, yeah, right. It really was. It was a couple $100.
Well, I mean, it's the holidays.
Yeah, right. And you know, I'm gonna drink it, like that's why I get the Knob Creek, so I can drink that all the time. Then the other stuff is special occasions. But then I was up in PA at the liquor store here, and they had this Four Roses small batch select, which I also got, which is also behind the counter in Virginia. So I picked that up. But then I saw this here when I was at the liquor store after leaving the casino. I'm like, oh yeah, that listen to me, liquor store after the casino, absolute degenerate. But that.
Oh, you had to pick up your cigs.
Oh yeah. Had to get some scratchers. But yeah, it's delicious. It's really, really good.
That's what you're drinking now, the Four Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Just on the rocks.
Bring that home. We'll give you a little swap. I'll make you one of these whiskey sours, and we'll try your Four Roses.
That's a square deal, my man. That is a square deal.
Yeah, I was telling Mike last week that Four Roses was one of the whiskeys that I'd never had before, and so I just had heard about it. So, and it was reasonably priced. So I'm like, okay, why don't I just try it this time? And I really liked it. It was definitely smooth. And I don't know what I was expecting out of it, but it's definitely one of my favorite type of bourbons. I was pleasantly surprised. It was almost maybe a little bit on the sweeter side, if I remember. I don't know. I remember coming away thinking it was very smooth, because again, like I get heartburn, so I don't like a lot of burn.
I don't know if this small batch is new. Like the Four Roses small batch is something I've had before and I really like.
Yeah.
But this small batch select is like it's really good stuff. Like I bought this to like keep here, but I don't know, I might be coming home. Even though I have another bottle at home.
Well, you know where the liquor store is there, so you can just swing back by after the casino tomorrow.
I was gonna say it's also
tonight.
It's also Wednesday, and you're going to be there till Sunday. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling that that's probably not going to just make the trip back in general.
Yeah, well, we made plans to go back to the casino, me and my buddies. So I'll be swinging past.
Maybe pick up some scratchers this time. All right, so why don't we move on to the college football recap from last week? So why don't we start off with our trophy game that we talked about, the Freedom Trophy. So this was between Wisconsin and Nebraska, and it was a classic game, back and forth. I remember I didn't watch all of it, but I was definitely watching the ticker and seeing the scores, and it just looked back and forth. And then earlier today, I watched some of the highlights, and it was exactly what I thought it was. It was a very close game. Wisconsin returned the opening kickoff to the house at home. So it just had like everything there, but it was just a shootout back and forth. And, the difference was, stop me if you've heard this before, but Nebraska turned the ball over a couple of times, and that was enough to unfortunately give them the loss.
I didn't get to see any of the trophy hoisting at the end. I did catch some of the game, but yeah, I mean, that's Joe. What did you think of the trophy, man? Because I feel like that you and I would have been very similar on that. Like that, it's great that it's a big trophy and the top of it looks good, but the fact that most of it's blank, like that, is what took it away from.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I think that shows. I mean, for me, I'm all about the kind of the history and like the over the years that it's been, you know, that there's a story with it and that there's a lot of storyline or history that goes with it. And if it's a lot of it's blank, that kind of takes away from it for me, I feel like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also liked the $5 bits of broken chair because it's new. And I mean, it's unique, but it's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference though. Like I think it's one of those things where Mike's going to look back and like once some of those scores are filled in, because it is such a newer trophy and they haven't played that much, that he's going to feel completely different about it. But I don't know. I love the top part of it, and the bottom part, that didn't matter to me.
We'll see.
Anything else about the
freedom? I'm the type of guy that, you know, I say what I say and I mean it. I never go back on my word. And I'm sure that we're going to get to some of that here. Me standing by.
Oh yeah, you text me about that over the weekend, right?
Yeah, how Oregon right? was the best.
Yeah. I've been saying it, guys. I mean, I've been saying when we get to like, you know, our upsets here, like I've been saying for a long time that like Oregon is on upset alert. They're not that good. Anytime you go into Rice Eccles Stadium, you got to watch out. It's a tough place to play. And, you know, I mean, I was proven right. I mean, I've been saying.
It's not like we don't have,
Oregon's pretenders.
Audio evidence and video evidence of, you know, your past statements.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been saying.
So why don't we get into some of these some of these other games here, and we can start off with a few statement wins. I mean, I feel like it was for Ohio State and Michigan State. I think the statement here wasn't Ohio State being good. I think it just showed, how Michigan State's had a great year, but definitely kind of what I've been saying. It was clearly the inferior team, really showed how far they had to go.
Coming fresh defense, off the heels of a massive contract extension for your boy, and also overshadowed somewhat because we didn't get a chance to talk about this at all on the group chat or live, but yesterday evening, James Franklin, 10-year deal at Penn State. So
I can tell you that contract is going to be a cascading effect. It's like the NFL with the quarterback contracts. I have a sneaking suspicion that, Tucker's contract's going to be,
well, we already saw
slowly
start
to.
They're always going to creep up and up every contract. Every coach is going to get the next biggest one. Like, remember when Stafford was the highest paid player in the NFL? Like,
I think it was like 3 years, and he's
not the best player in the NFL, but he was paid the most.
Now he's like 15. I mean, for this game, it was just what I was afraid of came to fruition. I mean, obviously, I've been talking to you guys for weeks about this and how I knew we didn't have a chance, but it just came down to terrible pass defense meets 2 first-round NFL wide receivers and no pass rush. So when you do that, I mean, the only way to stop Ohio State, in my opinion, is because those guys are pretty unguardable. So unless you have a cornerback that's going to pro and even like needs to be, a top 3 round guy, if you don't have those guys, Wilson and Olave are getting open. The difference is if you can rush the passer, you can upset timing. And if you can't do both, you get 49 scored on you in the first half.
CJ Stroud, I still don't know. Like, I kind of shit on him last week. I'm going to continue to, because I don't know how good he is. Like, he had a great game. He is a great receiver,
I agree.
So like, how good is he really? So I think we'll see. Time will definitely tell. I really don't think he's the next great one, right?
No, but I keep seeing that he's the Heisman frontrunner now, and I'm just I don't see it. Like, he's got all day. Like, give any quarterback all day, and they're going to do something with it. And then also like the two receivers you just mentioned that are open by 10 feet. Like, doesn't mean he's good.
I feel like that's how every every year is. I mean, look at the second guy is called Bryce Young, who has equally as talented players on his team and equally as talented, if not more talented, offensive linemen and running backs. I mean, it is what it is every year. I mean, I don't know. I don't have as much of a problem with Stroud as you guys. He's going to be a top 3 pick when he goes, not next year, but the year after. It is what it is. I think he's better than you guys give him.
You would have
credit
said
for.
the same about Spencer Rattler. You probably would have said the same about DJ Uyunglele, but I don't think either of those guys are gonna be top 3.
Well, I saw one game of DJ last year. Rattler didn't look that great.
He looks great on QB1.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Stroud is now 10 games into his career and had one kind of shaky game against Minnesota, and that's pretty much it. I mean, he still threw for like 500 yards against Oregon in a loss. So
yeah, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I don't think he's the best quarterback in college football right now. I mean, I'm saying he could become one or the guy, but I don't think he is right now.
Guess we'll see. I don't know who else is. I don't know who else is there. That's the other question. Maybe it's just a bad year.
Let's sashay on over to that guy. I know that. Kenny Pickett
beating a strong Virginia team.
Hey, dude, that was an exciting game. Kenny Pickett looked great, and Virginia balled out, dude. And the biggest thing for me is I took the over, and that thing hit partway through the
I
third
think that's
quarter.
why you like Kenny Pickett.
Hammered on that over.
So EJ, I wanted to get your thoughts on him. I know he's been mentioned for one of the Lions picks for a quarterback. What do you think? I haven't really seen him play at all. I Googled his YouTube right after I heard that, but
yeah, he's a guy that I feel like freaking Chris Collinsworth. Here's a guy.
Slide in the frame.
Yeah, he's a guy that just has looked pretty average in all up until this year. And he has a great combination of arm strength and mobility. He's not like a super fast Lamar guy, but
that's my big thing.
He's enough to get away. Yeah.
Stafford, Goff. I'm so tired of guys with concrete blocks tied to their ankles.
Yeah. No, I mean he's had a really great year. It's one of those, like, I don't want to say Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow won a national championship, but it was one of those things where there's been tape on him for years, but something's clicked. And he doesn't have the star players around him at Pitt. Now they also play in the ACC, which has been down, but he's a guy that might be a top 10. This is a year where there isn't a real number 1 quarterback, and because of that, it's probably going to be whatever teams, whatever.
Talking like a Daniel Jones situation.
Changes, so much,
right?
But so much changes with the combine too. I mean. Between the end of the
season
and the combine, so much
fans.
Change. Yeah,
well, for fans, not for scouts.
I mean, yeah. I mean, really, last year, the way the quarterbacks were ranked or were drafted, I don't think that we expected. I mean, last year was maybe an aberration but look at Trubisky. Not the best example because he didn't really pan out. But like, I feel like his stock rose a ton between the end of the season and when the eventual draft happened.
Maybe I'm of the idea that these scouts already have a very, very good feel for these players, and there could be a especially for quarterbacks, because it's not about like what is he going to do at the combine that is actually going to be helpful. So he can run a straight line, great. He can.
I'm hoping he doesn't
throw in his underwear.
I'm hoping
he could. I mean, he could be faster than they expect if it's a guy who's not necessarily like meant to run or not a mobile quarterback. I mean, look at that's what I meant. Daniel Jones, like that dude's fast,
right?
And he was taken a lot higher than I thought he was going to go too.
Yeah,
like
but
I don't know
also
if the combine had anything to do with that, but
yeah.
I am hoping that
I don't know.
Kenny Pickett
he still sucks
the rest of his games and tanks his combine, and that the Steelers lose out, and that the Lions and whoever else pass on Kenny Pickett so the Steelers can get Kenny Pickett, because I would love to see my guy in the black and gold.
It doesn't matter how is
that who you'd want in this draft?
If I had my choice, I would take Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I would.
I think it's one of those things. There isn't a great class, but those quarterbacks are still gonna go.
If I'm reading the tea leaves,
it doesn't matter.
If I'm reading the tea leaves, Tomlin doesn't want to coach a rookie. So they're going to go get Russ or Deshaun or Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. And then they're going to draft someone. I'd like them to draft Kenny Pickett, even though like Rodgers doesn't play well with rookie quarterbacks. But like, I mean, I wouldn't mind Rodgers for a couple more years. So when Kenny Pickett just sit there, and if something happens to Rodgers behind that atrocious offensive line, not atrocious, that's rude. They're actually pretty good.
They're atrocious.
They're better than they were billed to be.
If anyone can,
and they're coming together, they're young. You know,
They were built to be terrible, so they're
rookies.
just kind of like not terrible. Is not a great sign.
Hey, piss off.
16-16. That was pathetic.
That was pathetic. Also, I don't think Ben Roethlisberger should practice again because he always looks good coming off a week without. Like that guy should get COVID every week and just play every other week and not practice.
I think you guys are going to be too good to get an impactful quarterback. You're still just going to tread that water.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're going to need a full year of like Mason Rudolph to really, even that Tomlin still get you guys to 7 wins.
We'll hook you up with Goff.
Enough.
He'll get you guys that good pick.
No, Tomlin's going to get us to 8 wins, 8 losses, and 1 tie, and maintain that record of the most consecutive non-losing seasons.
Yes.
But speaking of impactful quarterbacks,
sure,
Bryce Young, 559 yards, school record.
So how do you feel this week? How do you feel? Does he suck? Or does he stink still?
Alabama's a bunch of frauds.
Okay.
I don't think Arkansas is that good.
Is that what he said last week?
So he stinks. He said that Young.
I love Bryce Young.
Alabama
I would love the Lions
this entire year.
I think Bryce Young stinks.
We'll take him. Give you Pickett. We'll take him.
That's a trade I would. That's a deal I would make.
Yeah,
that's a deal I would make.
I will definitely take Bryce Young over Pickett anytime.
He's just.
What don't you like about him?
It's not even him. It's this gosh darn.
Did you try and get an autograph or something?
Bill
He
O'Brien
did.
I know, seriously.
It's Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone is what.
So don't blame him.
Yes, they're terrible. Were you ever excited
just...
about them? I mean, so they had a pro like caliber or whatever pedigree.
I'm hoping the Bills fire Brian Dable and he comes back, or Texas fire Sark and he comes back.
Yeah.
Like these guys are freaking terrible. They're just a bunch of fat slobs.
I could have told you that. Bill O'Brien's Houston teams weren't that great, and Marrone.
I will
sucked.
say, listen, I'll give Bill O'Brien a lot of credit because I think what he did with Penn State was incredible. I think that he came into a no-win situation and he kept the program alive, and it was a very hard thing to do to come into. So I give him a lot of credit for what he did with Penn State, but Bill O'Brien sucks. He's a loser.
All right, I got one for you. Recently fired NFL OC Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's do it.
Good luck.
I could see him coming down to Tuscaloosa for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he is just exactly what Bryce Young needs.
What he doesn't
with
need.
His new set of receivers after Jameson leaves, and what's the other little fast guy that leaves? So
Mechie.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Jameson Williams. I mean, really, you look at Bryce Young's like stats and his abilities.
Well, let's see what he does against that Georgia defense.
Williams.
That'll be the test.
There's more.
Really, that's the test. That is the test for Georgia, because I mean that's definitely the best offense. Yeah, probably the best offense Georgia's going to see before the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. I don't know. I mean, who else?
Yeah, I mean, you would think Clemson, but clearly DJ's, as we've seen. I mean, when that game first happened, I think we all just thought, two good defenses going at each other is what it is. But since we've seen DJ play since then, I had the case, pal.
Well, I mean, you'd also ask, like, do you know who his receivers are? Do you know who his running back is? I mean, I could tell you who Trevor Lawrence's were. I think that's also an issue there. I think that gets overshadowed. I don't know that he has the weapons.
DJ doesn't. But like,
is that because Trevor Lawrence and they were good? I mean, Trevor Lawrence was good too. It's not just.
Yeah, I think DJ's made a lot of bad throws. Like when in the Pitt game, when DJ got benched and they brought in the guy with the other hard to pronounce name, like Waka Lea. That's might be insensitive. I apologize, but like, he was making way better throws than DJ. They brought DJ back in. He was sailing the ball 30 yards over people's heads.
Sounds like a Spencer Rattler.
Exactly.
I think Spencer Rattler is a case of hype that doesn't necessarily had never matched what was actually.
Yeah, he's
on
been
the field.
hyped since he was like 12.
Right. So I think some of that's unfair where, even someone like me, where I didn't watch Oklahoma games, you've always heard his name, but maybe if you had watched the games, you would not have had as high.
I think that's just the new age, how it all works.
I just thought about this is interesting to me. So CJ Stroud, right, is like playing really well. What happens with this other kid?
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's not playing next year, so he's going to transfer. 1,000%. Yeah. Unless he wants to sit a year. Like Stroud, there's nothing that Stroud did this year is going to put him on the bench. And he has at least one more year before.
You're saying they should have played him a little bit to keep him happy?
Oh, I didn't even mean to do that.
No.
Whoa.
Because it's Ohio State. So great. They'll nab the next kid that's willing to sit and be a 5-star. Like, they're going to be okay. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
And also good for
he's
Quinn
so
Ewers.
Good that he can't beat. He's so good. Yeah, so good that he can't beat out this guy that you guys hate. So that shows you how good.
I don't know. Right, we don't know that, EJ. I think CJ Stroud stinks. I think Quinn Ewers is going to be the starter next year.
I think
just because Ryan Day doesn't agree with us doesn't mean we're not right.
Ryan Day's an idiot.
Yeah,
he's a fat-faced idiot.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sorry for not
from The Office or from Suits.
Not trusting the guy that does it for a living. I'm sorry. The expert.
Yeah, well.
That's
all
fair.
right.
All right. Do you guys have any other statement wins? Notre Dame won big. Georgia Tech stinks. Don't care.
Yeah,
I've watched 5 quarters of football over the last 2 weeks.
The only reason I put Notre Dame in there is because like
it was surprising.
It is surprising. And also Notre Dame's at number 6. And if for some reason the committee decides to jump like leapfrog Notre Dame over Cincinnati, then what the hell are we doing? That's the only thing I wanted to say. Like,
yeah, I just have a bad feeling that those 2 games aren't going to be good anyway. I don't think it matters who's in. I feel like it's going to be a blowout, and then it's going to be Georgia blowing out the winner of the first blowout. So I don't think we're going to get any good wins or any good games, to be honest with you. I think Cincinnati's going to get completely wrecked by whoever they play.
Yeah.
Maybe Ohio State, Alabama would be good if Ohio State beats Michigan. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I just have a feeling Georgia's going to kill everyone. So it's kind of a moot point. I'd rather have it be expended to 8. And even though those other 4 teams don't have a chance, at least there would be a couple good games,
You never know. That's the great thing about college football.
I think, I mean, when these number 4 teams or whatever, the upsets, when you're looking at Ohio State and Alabama doing it, I mean, those teams were very stacked and much better than number 5, 6, 7. So
that's true.
Okay, so a couple upsets here quickly. So Clemson, Wake Forest, not surprisingly, hit their plateau. Kind of really got knocked out.
We both took Wake money line.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't surprising when it's just when you finally see Clemson's talent. I mean, they have the horses, and so and Wake Forest just
didn't. You just say they don't?
No, I'd say that, but
you
overall,
said DJ didn't have enough around him.
Yeah.
Right, but I think his lack of horses is still 10 times better than what Wake Forest has. I mean,
I disagree with that.
Okay. I have a feeling that Wake Forest doesn't have a 5-star on their roster. I would venture to say they probably maybe have a 4-star, and Clemson's just shitting out 4 and 5-star.
Did you watch the game?
I did not, because it was
everything that went wrong for Clemson. Everything that could have went wrong for Wake Forest went wrong for Wake Forest. It was awful. I felt bad for Wake Forest.
Clemson, who hasn't scored,
stepping on their own feet the entire time.
Clemson scored 48. They've averaged like 18.
They got a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, because their defense is sick.
No, just EJ, you didn't watch the game. Wake Forest really kept shooting themselves in the foot. I don't think it's a matter of Clemson's defense being like that great and Brett Venables being the god above all else. It was just they kept shooting themselves in the foot. And if they could get out of there, I think that's one of those games that if it was played 10 times, Wake Forest will win 9. And maybe I'm feeling that way too, because I bet on Wake Forest to win money line.
9?
But yeah.
Okay. you're
I
insane.
don't think Clemson's that good.
They
it doesn't
aren't.
really matter because they're not gonna, they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna be in a bowl game, so or not,
Not in
New
a
Year's
bowl game.
not a New Year's Six bowl game, but
No, and neither is Wake Forest now. They played their
they
way
still
out of
have
that.
a chance.
What did
Yeah.
Wake drop to?
I mean, they're at a 2-loss, so they got to really
18.
hope. Yeah, I mean, you got to be top 12, so or ish, right? Some of these
could win
bowl
the
committees
ACC
can
still.
be, yeah.
No, even they could go to the Bahamas for the what was that bowl that Mike loved?
The Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah.
Bahamas Popeye Chicken Bowl.
They'll play Central Michigan.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There you go.
I feel like Wake Forest was like Michigan State to me. I mean, I've been very aware of Michigan State this year, and it was just when's the bubble going to burst? And so
I think they just
for
ran
Wake
out of
Forest,
gas. Like,
I think it was just a very magical year in a down ACC. Fantastic, don't get me wrong, but like, that had shades of like when Michigan State played Alabama, when Alabama lost like 3 games in a year, and we played in like the Capital One Bowl, and it was just a straight massacre because it was just one of those things where eventually, especially on Clemson's defense, they have like 3 guys that are going to be drafted in the first round. The defense was never been their issue this year. It's been the offense, but I would still take Clemson's down year offensive skill players over Wake Forest's.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's all. And then the big upset is Oregon, Utah. We kind of talked about it. Mike was so adamant about Oregon and then changed his mind last second because he didn't even bet for them, to show you how much he sticks to his word there. But it's exactly what we thought was going to happen.
I have been saying that Oregon's frauds and that Utah is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
And I was rewarded handsomely by the Barstool Sportsbook for saying that time and time again. I mean, listen,
it's just tough.
Been saying.
Talk about a game. I think that it was late, right? That game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were like feeding or something. And I had it on.
No, actually, I think it was 4 o'clock. Sorry.
No, I think that one was late.
7, 6. It was like 4. Oh, yeah, it was 4 o'clock their time. That's what I was thinking. Like Utah. So yeah,
that's
like
late
7
for me.
o'clock. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I saw a little bit of that game, and it was just like kind of like Mike was saying for the Wake Forest game. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like they couldn't get a first down. They kept throwing like picks. Like it was a fumble. Like it was horrible. Like you felt bad for them.
Well, and even the announcers were saying it was 3rd down with like 11 seconds left, and they're like, well, we're gonna head to the half unless Utah's coach feels being extra greedy and he calls a timeout to make them punt. And then dude ran back to the house. Honestly, it was a fun game to watch. Utah was just super dominant, and betting on Utah felt really good. Just one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I'm a genius. It was fun, man. And the Utah uniforms looked sick.
What was on their helmet? I couldn't get a good look at it.
Battleship. It was a
battleship.
battleship.
That's pretty cool.
Like firing off.
It was hard to
awesome.
see like without them holding still.
Yeah. My wife's grandmothers were at the house, and they're like, those uniforms look ugly. I'm like, Grandma, shut the fuck up. Like it was so good. It was I liked it a lot.
Well, guys,
lots of Battleship Gray.
Mike, you're gonna have a chance to really make it known how you feel about the Oregon Ducks, because they're unless they stumble, which we can talk about in a little bit, this week it should line up a Pac-12 championship game between those two schools in a neutral site. So we will see.
Yeah. Shoot, they have to play again. It's like
what was it at halftime? It was like 24-0 or something, right?
28.
Yeah.
20, yeah, I think.
It was just one of those things where you could feel it. You always kind of feel those games like they had been winning, but not winning convincingly. The injuries had finally been kind of, catching up to them. And then they go to Utah, which is always a hard place to play. And Utah had everything to play for. It's just kind of like one of those things, perfect storms.
It's just hard to watch.
Stadium.
Yeah.
Not if you bet on Utah.
Well, sure. I didn't have any money on it, but it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Like it's like a fight where it's just one guy's getting battered. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we move on to the games then? We're looking forward to this weekend, in addition to Paul Bunyan's Axe and the other four or five games that are on this weekend, rivalry weekend, that we've talked about on the pod. So I mean, we can just start off at the top. College game day going there? I know.
Yeah.
Big Noon is Fox's Big Noon's going there. Going to Ann Arbor. The game, Michigan, Ohio State. This is a chance to get to the Big Ten championship and ultimately a ticket to the playoff. Really, so big game.
Yeah, I think Harbaugh's been talking for the last since Maryland ended, talking about how this is just. I mean, it's essentially the first round of playoffs for I think both teams. If either one loses, they're out, right? So
yeah,
it's just the first round of playoffs for both. So my number one priority right now that I'd like to talk about is sleep deprivation, and then number two is this game. So,
yeah, I mean, it should be a great game. Obviously, I think Michigan's going to put up a much bigger fight than the Spartans just because their defense is much better. The question's going to be if Ohio State can score, can Michigan keep up? That's gonna I feel like be the big deal. I feel like Ohio State's probably gonna score. Even on their bad games, they still put up close to 30. Can Michigan do it? And being at home is going to be a big piece of that, being in Ann Arbor and not in Columbus. So it's going to be a hell of a game. Excited for it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how the quarterback situation plays out. I mean, McNamara has done nothing to lose his job, but I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that Maryland game. I think we were at the hospital still. JJ came in. He threw a few dimes. He threw a pass to the end zone to Sanistril.
Who would you
one-handed grab just over the cornerback's hands? It was like I'll have to send it to you guys. It was a great throw. So stuff.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
It was all over SportsCenter. I think it was like number 3 or 4 on top 10.
Who would you start?
He comes in and does that. It's hard to not play him, but at the same time, in big games like the last rivalry game, Michigan State, he fumbled twice. You're not going to forget that. So I hope they do play him. I hope he gets some time because he's definitely the future. So
who you wouldn't want to roll out JJ?
No, I would. Oh, to start? I don't think he start. No, I probably wouldn't. I don't think he's ready to start. I think, but he'll get. I hope he gets some reps. So I think the threat of him throwing is big enough and running too, because dude's quick. Like I think him coming in with that triple threat, he can throw, he can run, or just kind of dink it. It's worth it, but he's just got to calm down and hold on to that ball.
Yeah.
So he hasn't thrown I don't think he's thrown a pick at all. I mean, he's thrown a handful of times, and they've all been pretty great passes. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. It's interesting because Ryan Day is usually a pretty, or at least has shown over the last couple of years to be a pretty mundane personality, at least to the public. But I feel like ever since a couple of years ago, those comments about wanting to score 63 or whatever it was against Michigan, like.
You say you want to put up 100.
100, that's what it was, 100. So, and they didn't play last year, so I'm sure his goal is still putting up 100. So it's going to be a lot of heat in this game. I feel like just some pent up aggression because again, like I said, they didn't get to play last year, so it'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to be every bit of a rivalry game in that sense. So, I guess we'll see. Another, I mean, this is, like I had mentioned, this is rivalry weekend, so we can highlight pretty much this is the trophy weekend and all of college football. So the next one's Bedlam. So Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. And I believe this is in Stillwater, right? I think it's in Oklahoma State. Do you guys know the implications for the Big 12? I mean, I obviously it's going to be a heated game.
Goes to the title game.
And who would they play? Is Baylor on the other side? Is that okay?
So
I didn't know how they organized.
Have the sportsbook started the Rattler race yet?
Land?
Like,
yeah. No, but that's probably going to happen very quickly after this. I mean, we'll see though. Caleb Williams did get benched 2 games ago, so yeah, and Rattler came in. Yeah,
I did see he had that long run.
Yeah,
that was pretty sweet. It's like a 50-yard run or something.
Oh yeah, because Baylor actually I think the Big 12 just takes the top 2 schools. They don't split it up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it could be these 2 schools depending on
It's
what
not by
Baylor.
division.
No.
Hmm.
Because they
I
just
like that
implemented
though.
this.
That would make
conference.
so much more sense because with like the Big Ten, it's so
The West has
so
been
lopsided.
so terrible.
Yeah.
It should be a great game. I mean, Oklahoma State's known for their defense this year, which is bizarre. I actually haven't watched one of their games like all the way through yet, so I'm actually looking forward to trying to watch some of that this week. The other interesting game for me is the Civil War, Oregon State. Can Oregon bounce back?
Mike, what do you think?
And keep
Well,
their
I've been saying that Oregon is an elite team.
yeah.
They're very strong, and they should crush the Beavers.
Well, they're elite. It just depends on who they're playing.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm actually really excited for the Egg Bowl. I'll give our listeners a little gambling
Thanksgiving
tip here.
Day too.
Yeah, I think over in the Egg Bowl is a lock.
What's it set at? Is it high?
62. I think
That's not bad at all.
Let me double check. Hold on.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, last I saw was 62.
Okay. Yeah, guys, it has nothing to do really any implications in college football, but it's just a great game. It's the Egg Bowl. Learn why it's the Egg Bowl. We'll teach you in a later season. Look at their trophy. It's interesting. And
No, don't look at the trophy. Wait,
we'll watch the game and look at the trophy and then
close your eyes.
when it comes on.
Close your eyes when the trophy's on.
Look
TV.
away.
Yeah.
Let us describe it because we just describe things so well on this pod. Please don't just let us talk
Here's
you
a
through what it
trophy.
looks. Is there any other rivalry games that get you guys excited this weekend?
I don't think there are
outside
any
of
other games.
The
Iron
other
Bowl.
Iron Bowl. Oh yeah, of course. I
Every
think
year.
that-
I mean, it doesn't
this-
mean anything this year because Bama's already ahead to the SEC championship. So I think it'll be a rout. But who knows? I mean,
it does.
Bill O'Brien have let me down before. So
It means
Jason Garrett's got you in great hands.
Hey, I think it means it's in Auburn, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means something. If you guys lose, your 2 losses aren't getting you into the playoffs, no matter if you beat Georgia. I personally don't.
Yeah,
think.
Cincy will take that from you.
So I think that you can't lose this game if you want to see them play.
Nah,
the playoffs.
I think that. I mean, listen, the right or wrong, guys. The committee loves Bama.
It's
So
true.
even if they lose this game, they will if they beat Georgia, I think they'll still go to the playoffs.
I think as long as it's not like a blowout. Like
Yeah, right. That's right, Joe. Yeah, we've seen it before. We've seen it before.
we've seen it week by
A
week.
2-loss team.
I'm not saying they deserve to be there, EJ. I'm just saying what the
I don't
committee's
think
gonna
we've.
do.
I don't think we've seen a 2-loss team in the playoff.
So what's the committee going to do? Are they going to choose 1-loss Georgia, who lost the SEC championship? Or are they going to take 2-loss? Nah.
Yes.
No, pal.
Yes. 1,000% they will. They're not going to take a 2. If Cincinnati goes undefeated and you have Michigan, Ohio State go 1 loss, so those are your locks. And
Ooh,
then
so you're saying Michigan won?
I said Michigan or Ohio State. So
Oh,
one of
they-
those
I
two
think
is
they
going to
said
be a lock.
and.
No,
I just
or.
I don't see
One of those are a lock. So one of those 2 are a lock. So that's two teams locked in, unless of course Cincinnati stumbles. Then you have a potential 1-loss Big 12 school. I just don't see them putting in a 2-loss team. I just don't. Not if there's a line. If
they're
Notre
the
Dame's
SEC
1 loss.
championship, if it's Alabama. If it's Alabama, they will. I hate to say it, but like that's the way it is with
I think
Alabama,
if they're
which is it's not fair
I
to
don't
other
know.
teams, but it is what it is. They love them some Crimson Tide.
I get it, but 2 losses is unprecedented. It is unprecedented. So unless there was a ton of other 2-loss teams, sure, they would be the top 2-loss team. But if you're sitting there looking at a bunch of 1-loss teams and undefeated teams, I wouldn't be so confident. And I don't know if you think you're gonna lose to Auburn and then beat Georgia. I think that's also an issue.
Bill
this year.
O'Brien and Pete Golding have thrown me bigger curveballs. So
Okay, so why don't we move on to the trophy then this week? So today we're going to talk about Paul Bunyan's Axe, which is played between Wisconsin and Minnesota. So let me hit you with a fun fact here,
Love
which
me some fun facts.
is going to be a big theme in this this trophy in this rivalry. But this is the longest consecutive series played between two college teams. So they have played 114 straight times.
Wow.
Yes. This is quite the historic rivalry in that aspect. So I don't want to give too much more there. So why don't you guys tell me, what are your first impressions of this butte that we have here?
I mean,
It is huge.
That's what it is. It's a butte. It's massive. It's girthy.
It makes me think that the Paul Bunyan trophy should be a lot bigger.
How can that guy hold this axe?
Yeah. It is a damn good axe, man. I love the picture you chose of the Minnesota player streaking down the sidelines with this cowboy collar, holding the axe. Like, oh yeah,
he looks like an axe murderer.
Ooh.
It's so good.
All right, so describe it a little bit for us here.
It's a massive
Huge
axe, folks.
wooden axe.
Yeah, it is wooden.
Looks like it's probably about 6 foot tall.
Yeah, one side is painted yellow. It's 6 foot tall.
Yes,
good guess.
One side is painted. Great guess. One side is painted yellow. The other side of the blade. One side of the blade is painted yellow. The other side of the blade is painted gold. Gold. The other side of the blade is painted red, crimson, whatever Wisconsin's color is. Yes. And it's got on
wooden handle.
Yeah, wooden handle, and right at the notch where the blade, it's a wooden blade, and right at the notch, like where the handle and the blade come together, there's a Minnesota M on one side, and one side's for Minnesota, one side's for Wisconsin, and it is gorgeous. They got a nice lacquer on that too. Joe, you're a woodworker. What do you think about the lacquer on that?
So the handle looks like it's kind of like a raw wood look, lighter. I'm definitely got some kind of stain or finish on there to like polish it off. And then the paint, it looks like it says on there on each side, it says Paul Bunyan football trophy presented by the National W Club. I don't know what that is, but
you'll learn about it.
It says that on both sides.
1948. Yep. And then it has the scores down
the handle. Yep. And they're pretty small. I like that because then you can fit 114 of them, I guess.
Or maybe not.
Or more. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but I like that there's room. It's kind of like there's not that much room though. There's maybe 8 or 9 inches of blank handle.
Yes. So maybe you'll just have to see what they do when when two schools play each other every year for the last 114. What happens when you run out of space for scores?
Make it taller.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit more on the history of the rivalry. So the first matchup was in 1890 when Minnesota won 63-0. And we've kind of talked about Minnesota back in the day, along with Michigan, were two of the premier football schools back in the day. And then Minnesota won 5 of the first 6 matchups between the two schools. So the series overall, though, Wisconsin leads at 62 wins to 60 losses.
This is a close one.
And 8 ties. So as much as they've played each other, it is very, very even, very close. So like I had said, this game had been played for 114 consecutive years, but it had been played every year actually since 1890, but 1 year. So this would be even longer if it hadn't been for 1 year. So in 1906, that was the only year it wasn't played, and it was and that was because the game was canceled by President Theodore Roosevelt, who canceled all college football rivalries that year because of the number of injuries and deaths on the field.
You know what? Teddy Roosevelt's my favorite president, but this really chaps my ass.
Could you imagine, though, you're going to play college football and you're like, I might not make it out of this thing.
Well, considering some people play dental schools, I can believe that. But
play who's in front of you, man.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I couldn't get a number on how many deaths or injuries made him make this call, but he canceled all rivalry games that year because it was just too much.
This is like
that
like
football
recess
season.
when you're playing like tackle football and the teachers like ban football because kids keep getting hurt.
Yeah,
That's
exactly
what this is. Yeah.
with a few deaths.
Dang.
And like I had mentioned, it's the longest uninterrupted rivalry in Division I college football.
So this rivalry survived COVID, right? Sounds like they played.
It did, yes.
Nice.
Yes. Most of them did, beside Michigan, Ohio State. So.
Cool.
So I'm going to give you.
Well, that one's also the
trophy.
last game of the year every year.
Yeah.
So
It's
Shot over the bow right there.
Hey, if you want to know why the game wasn't played while other games were being played, you can go and check it out. But
Ryan Day is
regardless,
a piece of shit and doesn't care about human life. That's why.
Or the entire SEC.
Hey, Ryan Day. We're talking about Ryan Day and how big of a piece of garbage he is. Okay, we're not talking about.
I got all the time you need, Mike.
Okay, so why don't we give you a history of the trophy? So Paul Bunyan's axe was introduced to the rivalry in 1948, but it was not the first trophy introduced in this rivalry. It's been a while since we've had one of these fellas. So that story actually began in 1930, but I can't tell you about that until I keep my promise to Mike and bring back his favorite segment that I took away from him last episode. So without further ado, let me tell you what life was like.
On top of a spot.
You go in
Let's
1928.
go.
We're going in 1930 when the first trophy in this rivalry was introduced. So in 1930, the Mickey Mouse comic strip made its first appearance. Little Mickey Mouse. The Empire State Building also began construction in New York City in 1930.
I'm sorry, began?
Yes.
Did not. Okay.
It's pretty old.
Realized that. Thought it was done by then.
No.
I didn't think it was that old.
Yeah, skyscrapers weren't
I
really
thought
a
it was
thing
done by
until
then.
Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And then the big fire in Chicago burned them all to the ground, and then they had to rebuild. But yes,
Hate to see
skyscrapers
it.
aren't as old as you'd expect. Colonel Sanders opened the first Kentucky Fried Chicken in
I want
North
to try their
Corbin,
sandwich.
Kentucky.
I wonder how good it is.
Eh.
It's hard. Anytime I want, I'm in the mood for chicken sandwich. Like, well, do I want to try something new or do I just want to go Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A.
So I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole on this one, guys. I really just couldn't help myself. Maybe it was the insomnia. But do you know what Colonel's real name is? Do you guys know what Colonel
Francis.
Sanders? It is not.
Gave
Joe,
it a
do you know
shot.
his first name?
Raymond.
No, Harland David Sanders. And this is probably going to really surprise you guys. He's not a real colonel.
Oh, I knew
Well,
that.
Doesn't really surprise me.
Shocker. So the title colonel is an honorific title that it's the highest awarded by the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So it was given to him back in the day. And the governor that did it, I don't want to get too much into this, even though I read all about it, was up until this point, it had only been maybe 1,000 people over, a few decades that have gotten that honor. And then one governor came in and just like drunkenly gave it to everyone. So this governor, in addition to giving this honor of colonel to Harlan Sanders, he also gave it to Shirley Temple, Mickey Mouse, and Santa Claus.
Hey, Shirley Temple.
During his tenure.
All right, listen.
Colonel
Santa
Colonel
already
Shirley
a colonel.
Temple.
The fact that Santa already wasn't a colonel is an atrocity. Shirley Temple, great drink. My mom's favorite actress. I'll go tell her about this right after this episode. That
You have to address her as
Shirley's
colonel.
a colonel.
Don't go into that
Shirley-
kitchen.
Yeah, don't go
Oh
in that
yeah,
kitchen.
that's true. I hear there's things happening downstairs. There's a lot of noise.
Also in this year, Jimmy DeWar invents Hostess Twinkies. So the Twinkie was invented in 1930. Yes, I know. The cartoon character Betty Boop premieres in the animated film Dizzy Dishes. That was always one of my great aunts loved Betty Boop.
I feel like there's a timeline. Like there's a timer on Betty Boop. There's certain things that actually one of my coworkers told me. He made a Rodney Dangerfield reference. No respect, He's like, there is an expiration date on Rodney Dangerfield references. I'm like, well, that's sad. And then I realized that there's Betty Boop, I feel like her expiration date should have been long ago. I don't know how she remains relevant. Just guys are real horny for cartoons, I guess.
I guess so. I don't
know.
know. And the last thing here, the company 3M introduces Scotch tape. In 1930, I went down that rabbit hole, but that's a pretty sensitive topic. It's not a PC way that got named.
Scotch tape?
Yeah, so if you're interested, just go ahead and do that research yourself. But it probably would not be named that today if it
why
was
wasn't
created.
that renamed like all the other products?
That's a great question. I didn't. Once I started down that path, I was like, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. So that's a good question. I don't know if there was any kind of like campaigns to get it changed.
I guarantee we can find
probably,
one.
But obviously,
I just assumed it was
stick.
something to do with like Scotch. I don't know.
It is, but the reason why he called it's just a little derogatory when the original creator
To the Scots?
Yeah.
Screw him.
When he was like, hey,
well, guess we can't change it. Mike likes it.
That tape.
Yeah,
so
I'm not saying I like it, but screw them. Screw the Scots. I wish they were Irish. Anyways, or English.
We'll move on there. So, like I mentioned before, the axe was not the first thing these two schools played for. The original prize was the slab of bacon. So, if you guys want to scroll down and look at
see
this,
it.
Are we gonna double up with Marin references in 2 episodes? We shit on math teachers and now bacon. So, and Sheila's bacon more than any other person that I know.
But you can't shit on bacon, right? So
no, why would you?
So in 1930,
this looks like a luggage tag.
I think it's like a tray. No, is it like a wooden tray to hold bacon or no?
No, it is. It's more of like a smaller piece.
It's the size of a luggage tag, is what.
So it's just a piece of leather,
like a scorecard. Yes.
Huh.
So, sorry, guys. Describe what this slab of bacon looks like.
It looks like a slab of bacon. Mike nailed it.
I mean, it's a luggage tag.
Yeah.
With a M/W on it, which wherever you turn it, that's what it looks like. But it looks like a luggage tag. They have bacon written on it so that you know it's a slab of bacon as opposed to luggage tag, and what looks like a little brown egg, which is like a football, I guess. And they're emblazoned on the egg, which looks like a Reese's egg, but it's
Ooh, I'm hungry too.
I know. It's a W and an M with the sides red and then the middle white and gold. And then on the reverse side is all the scores of the games. So a luggage tag.
I'm very disappointed in this.
You know, there's something to be said for smaller trophies.
This isn't like a trophy though. This is just
right. Like I think about like all elite wrestling has their dynamite diamond ring, which is cool. That's like a cool piece of like hardware that a champion can wear, as opposed to like a belt, which is big and gaudy. So there's something to be said about like making a smaller trophy and something like you can hold and carry with you. But this is a luggage tag that's supposed to be bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to tell us what do they do? Do they do something with it, or is it just?
Sure, I can give you. I was going to tell you kind of how it came about. I'd also keep in mind that it's 1930.
Yeah.
So the fact
that we've seen other ones in the 30s or earlier that are sweet.
Oh, bacon was a hot commodity in the 30s. That's something you had to give up, along with shoes for the war effort.
There, I was going to say during the war, this is kind of embroidered into in between some wars. But in 1930, to symbolically capture the amazing atmosphere of the annual matchup, Dr. R.B. Fauch of Minneapolis fashioned a bacon slab out of black walnut to serve as a traveling trophy that he would hoped to have been compared to the well-known Little Brown Jug, which Minnesota and Michigan played for every year.
How big is this thing, EJ?
I didn't get an exact size on it, but I think it's no bigger than less than a foot, probably like six inches by. It's like a postcard. like potentially a note card size. So the slab of bacon, first played for in 1930, had the carved football on the top, like Mike described, with an M and a W, depending on how you held it. And the idea was that the winning team would be bringing home the bacon. So that's kind of where.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that part to it, but the trophy itself is horrible.
Yeah. Well, the trophy's tenure ended.
Do they put bacon on it, like when they win it
to serve it?
Ooh, can't comprehend this.
That would be nice.
It's just a piece of wood.
Load it up with bacon, and then
he tried to make it look like a piece of bacon. He's just trying. They're trying to do something.
So he wants it. This is supposed to look like bacon, not something you serve bacon on.
I guess, yeah. Maybe that's what bacon looked like back then. That's probably something I should have Googled. That's my fault, guys. Canadian bacon looks different than American bacon. So maybe...
Give me the axe. I see why they changed it.
Well, can you guess why they had to change it?
Stolen.
So this trophy's tenure ended in 1943 because, that's right, Joe, it was lost. In 1943, after a Minnesota victory, that victory led to fans rushing on the field. So Wisconsin's student at the time, Peg Waitress, was to bring the trophy to a Minnesota representative after the game. So Wisconsin had it, and then Minnesota won. So she was supposed to find them and give it to her. But in the commotion, she couldn't find that representative, and then subsequently lost track of the bacon. So this is what she had to say.
eBay.
She said, "I have no memory of what happened after the commotion and the rushing of the field. The whole thing was a dud, as I feared it would be, and someone in charge probably hid the bacon." So reportedly, the trophy was sent to the Minnesota locker room.
Hide the bacon.
Right. So supposedly, reportedly, it was sent to the locker room. Right. After Peg couldn't find the other person, but apparently the coach at the time, Minnesota's coach, George Hauser, refused it, suggesting such traditions to be held off until after World War II. So the slab was lost after the game, and the two teams would play without a trophy until 1948, when Paul Bunyan's axe was introduced. However, the trophy was lost for over 50 years, but in 1992, Wisconsin coach Barry Alvarez kind of joked and said that we actually took home the bacon and kept it. So he alluded to that Wisconsin had it all along. So in 1994, Wisconsin intern Will Rollison found it in an old storage closet at Camp Randall. And it had evidently been maintained for some times, because the scores had been
updating it.
Yeah, they had been updated through 1970. They were painted on the back of
what a bunch of losers.
So now it is displayed at Camp Randall's football stadium office. So they were able to find it.
They shouldn't be able to keep it.
Yeah, send it to Minnesota. I tell you what, PJ Fleck would never do such a thing.
No, he's gonna go take it. And then run.
But those people
he practices sprints.
Those people at Minnesota, they have a reputation. Remember, Mike, about those trophies and some jugs. So
that's fair.
Maybe they would have done that. I think they actually have proven to have done that. All right. So Paul Bunyan's axe in 1948. The axe was created by the Wisconsin's National W Club, as it says on the actual trophy, and the scores of each game are recorded on the axle's handle. And Joe, you guessed right, it's 6 feet long. Because this game had been played annually for so long, in the 60s, the team started to print the final scores smaller and smaller, and eventually scrunching the letters on the narrow side of the shaft. So we saw it on the broad side.
Yeah.
So then they eventually had to flip it over and do it on the narrow side because they ran out of space. So
does it say what the plan is once they run out of everywhere?
So they already did. So the last game that was painted on the broad handle of the broad face of the handle was in 1980. And then after that, there were 25 more games that were on the narrow side, like I said. And then in 2000, they had to create a new axe because they ran out of space. So the original axe was donated to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2003. So that's where you can see
I
that
see the
original
one. The second to last photo that you sent that you have in here is it's different. It's all yellow, right?
Yes.
Or is that's different, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because the handle is not that like natural wood look.
Mm-mm.
So that's
Yeah.
a new one. Okay.
Yep. So they eventually ran out, and it was cool that obviously they just created a new one and donated the original one. And then just to kind of add to this, because I think we've talked about this before, how certain hats weren't wearable, certain cannons weren't fireable, and now we have a full-blown weapon. So until 2014, when the game ended, if the team holding the trophy, if they won, they would run to their own sideline, take the axe and carry it around the field like you saw in the pictures, and they would chop down one or both of the goalposts. So if the team was not holding the trophy, they were allowed to run to the sideline and steal the axe from the other team and then do this ceremonial chopping of the goalposts. I Googled it. There is no confirmed actual chopping of goalposts over the years. I tried to find it. Doesn't mean that potentially there wasn't, but they literally do like run to the end zones and fake like
Maybe this is why
chopping.
Roosevelt paused everything.
So that tradition, that was up until 2014. So that tradition changed in 2014 when the axe was kept off the field altogether, because in 2013 there was a skirmish in
A skirmish.
Yes, when the Minnesota players surrounded their goalpost and would not permit Wisconsin players to ceremonially chopped it down. So they had 1 year where all of that kind of came to head, and it was a little sketchy. But the good news is the tradition was restored when tempers were restored in 2015. So they still went back to the original tradition where they can ceremoniously chop that goalpost down with their 6-foot axe. So I thought that was kind of cool. So it is kind of used as a weapon, like we had hoped for with all these other trophies, but ceremony.
Well, chopping down a goalpost isn't used as a weapon.
Yeah, but when you're running around crazy and stealing it from the opponent, you might want to get a couple of swings in.
I will say,
chop
Mike,
a player. If you can chop a goalpost, you can chop a player.
Mike sent us your buddy's trophy for was that Vermont?
Oh yeah,
it was a rifle or something.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that was
pretty cool.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah. Shout out Pat Denke and shout out the Maine Black Bears. They actually won their rivalry game, and they got to take home the musket.
That was pretty cool.
Straight up musket in a big glass case, and yeah, that thing looks sweet as hell.
Yeah,
I would like to, Pat, if you're listening, I would love to have you on the pod one day to talk about that. I actually want to.
That'd be great
right now and see if we can.
There are some very cool trophies like that between schools that you would just never watch, and I get it, right? Because a part of this is the rivalry and the entertainment of watching the game, but there are definitely some very cool, unique trophies that very rarely see the light of day, because the schools aren't big or they're just not very good. But doesn't mean that
you can see how much it means to people too, because like Pat posted about it, with he's the offensive line coach, so he posted with the O-line, and they have it up in the locker room and stuff, and you can tell it really means a lot to have the musket, and he highlighted his seniors that were able to go out with hold the musket and everything. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, it's just like rivalry games in any college sport, it's cool.
Yeah, there's a woman I live with upstairs who she suggested we do the Cortica jug. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
She doesn't really care about football, but she gets fired up about that one. So,
and I have actually attended.
That's right.
The Cortica game a couple.
Is
of
it
years
a jug?
The largest, I believe so. I didn't see it because the team I was rooting for, which was not the school that your wife went to, got absolutely massacred by your wife's school. So it was cold at MetLife, the largest Cortica game ever recorded. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's definitely a fun one too. That's Division 3.
I think 3. Yeah, I'm not sure.
3 trophy. But again, another really cool rivalry between some schools. All right, so that's all I have for you guys. So why don't we get to our ranking here? So again, for our listeners, we rank on a scale from 1 to 5 on looks, on the history of the trophy, on the rivalry, and then overall whether we put it in a bottom, middle, or top tier. So, Joe, why don't we start with you? What do you think?
Looks, I'm giving this thing a 5, not the bacon platter thing, but the actual axe, I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah.
History, I'm also going to give it a 5. This isn't the oldest, right? It's close to it.
It's probably close to it. It's not the oldest.
that
The
jug is
little
probably the
brown
oldest,
jug,
right?
and then there was some people that think it's the territorial cup between Arizona and Arizona
I mean,
State, but
yeah,
longest running.
yeah. So the history of it, I mean, it's still very old compared to a lot of them. So I'm going to give it a 4 for history. The story was a little kind of lame about stealing the original. Just kind of went missing for 50 years, you said. So I'll go 4 there. The rivalry itself, I'm going to go 5 just because it's so old. And then tier, neither of these teams have really been great, but I think Wisconsin's been good and Minnesota's getting there. Let's go mid tier. So 5, 4, 5, mid tier.
Okay. Mike?
5 for the looks because it's a big old axe. And I love that. Well, it looks great. History, I really like the history. I like that got a little theft in there too, which I always appreciate. And I like how they did pivot to the axe from the bacon slab. So I'm gonna give it a 5. And then the rivalry itself is a 4 for me.
It's a close one
Minnesota. Yeah, close to 5. But yeah,
well, I mean the actual record.
Oh yeah, well that's what I like. They've been doing it for so long, and when you have a W and an M, those are very close. Gotta hate those things.
62, 60, and 8.
Yeah,
they also border each other, so that's actually been considered like the Battle of the Border, I think, is another nickname for this game.
So it's a high tier for me overall.
Yeah, so for me, 4.5 for looks for the same reasons you guys said. History 4, for the same reason you guys said, and then the rivalry is a 4.75. The only thing that would make it a 5 for me is if the two schools were better, like together,
like ranked every.
Yeah, right, yeah. Where it was a meaningful game, like for like implications to the playoff or for the Big Ten championship every year. But I mean, the fact that they've played 114 straight games, and it should be even longer than that, beside the 1 year that people were killing each other, that just makes it awesome. And Joe, you mentioned it's so close as far as wins and losses. So definitely top tier for me.
I have the composite score.
Okay, so
do you want to know
the composite score? Sure.
Because I had a formula to our Excel sheet.
Great.
And I had the composite.
Are you gonna give it to us, or are you gonna give some dead air?
Do we want to give it to the listeners? Is the question, or do we want them to wait?
Yeah, let's wait for that. That can be something for
because
our finale.
There is a razor thin difference between Paul Bunyan and our big boy Floyd. Razor thin. I
had a feeling. I'm excited for the finale
and
for us to revisit these now that will have gone through all of them and then have a better idea to compare each other and potentially change our thoughts. There is a very
clear top 3. There are only 3 trophies that have broken 4 for a composite score. Obviously, Floyd is our big boy.
Are you gonna give it to him right now?
Paul, no, I'm just saying Floyd and Paul Bunyan's axe have broken 4, and the third one is a mystery. Oh, there's another one. Sorry, I missed it. So there's 4 that have broken 4.
Probably, there's probably solid.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's probably a couple, even for me, that were like flirting with the top. And then, I feel like it'll be fun. It'll be fun to kind of go back through. And I think it'd be fun for us to potentially have a couple listeners on to talk about it from their perspective too.
Just not Chris Mandia.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Jeez, Chris. Okay, so why don't we preview our games. We have quite a few to preview here that are this weekend because, like we said, this is a fantastic way to end college football's regular season. So the first one, let's preview the Heroes Trophy. So we talked about that a couple episodes ago. That is the Iowa Hawkeyes, the 9-2 Hawkeyes traveling to the 3-8 Nebraska Cornhuskers. This game is on Friday, so it's a nice little different than Saturday.
Nice intro.
Preview.
Start the weekend.
Appetizer. On
Black
at 1:30. Yeah.
Oh, that's why it's early. Yeah.
On at 1:30 on Eastern time on the Big Ten Network. So what do you guys think? Iowa, Nebraska, what's your predictions?
I was favored by 1.5, and I am getting
by 1.5.
That's correct.
Oh,
that
I'm
tells
taking
you
that. I'm taking
all
Iowa.
you need that.
Taking
Really?
Iowa.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for so long.
Think this is it?
Nebraska's gonna get someone, and they've been so close the last 2 weeks. The end of the year in Nebraska, I'm taking 1.5. Jesus, that shows you how much confidence bettors have. Vegas has in a 9-win team against a 3-win team. I'm taking the Cornhuskers.
I'm taking the Hawkeyes, and
Okay.
I already have that one in, so it's hard for me to backtrack on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with
Oregon.
Mike. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska's going to put up a fight, but I just don't
Sure.
think they against that defense.
Yeah,
Against
another
Iowa's
close
defense.
loss.
No.
Yeah. Okay. The next one, the preview of the Land of Lincoln Trophy. So this is when this is a big game here. The 3-8 Northwestern Wildcats travel to the 4-7 Fighting Illini of Illinois. This game is on at 3:30 Eastern time on one of the Big Ten channels. It was not specified, probably Big Ten 4, the Quattro. What are your guys' predictions for this?
Let me put, what time is it
I'm
on Friday? Do you know?
3:30, so 2:30 local time.
I'm taking the
This is on
Illini.
Saturday.
Sorry, Spanos, if you're listening, don't hurt me, but I'm taking the Illini.
I'm taking the Illini as well. After them looking terrible at the beginning of the year, after Bielema pretty much called out all of his offensive linemen, they've actually looked like a competent team.
Yeah, they knocked off Penn State.
Yeah.
Illinois is favored by 6.5.
That's probably.
I would think this
right.
one would be closer to the spread like, shouldn't those be flipped?
You would think looking at
this
it,
should be 1.5 points,
records.
not 6, and then the Iowa Nebraska should be 6.5.
I mean, Northwestern's just that bad. I'm taking the Illini, and I bet you it's a touchdown.
I don't know what I'm doing with this game yet. It feels like it could be a field goal game. I'm just not sure. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to give me a prediction here.
Oh boy, I don't know if
It has to be set in stone,
right?
Because you don't go back on your word.
Not a change on Friday night.
Who are you looking at? Is Kara over there telling you what to do?
I'm thinking. I'm looking at God. God, tell me what to do. I don't know.
This isn't really that hard. Just pick one. Orange and blue, or
well,
purple.
no. Well, I think Illinois is gonna win. I just don't.
Thank you.
Cover.
That's all I really needed.
Difficult for me.
All I
Long way to
needed
get
for
there.
this segment was, who you think's going to win. Okay, so on to the next one, the preview of the Old Oaken Bucket. So this is, oh man, I typed this in wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2-98.
So Indiana is 2 and what would that be? 9. 2-9, traveling to Purdue 7-4. This game's on 3:30 as well.
Purdue's
Maybe
favored by
Big
15.
Ten 2.
Yeah, there's no way.
Purdue's favored by 15.
Yeah, Purdue's gonna murder him.
Yep, massacre.
Joe.
I mean, this one we could get into the points and talk about it, but Purdue, yeah, all day.
Yeah, Indiana's just too unhealthy, and Purdue's a competent team. So, and at home. Okay, the preview of the Land Grant Trophy. So this is Penn State, 7-4. Penn State traveling to Michigan State 9-2. This game is on ABC at 3:30 Eastern time.
Do you guys know what the line is?
Yeah, it was 1 or 1.5.
Penn State -1.
Okay, Penn State -1.
That's in East Lansing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Predictions.
Michigan State.
I think,
It's
yeah, I
already
think
on.
so.
I
At
think
home,
the
they
wrong
want to
team's
finish
favorite.
strong.
Yeah,
Penn State's they're streaky. I feel like with Clifford. Oh, he's hurt though, isn't he? I think he's hurt again.
I think they said he's going to play though.
I'm
But
still.
you're
I
right,
don't. I'm
it's-
not.
yeah.
Yeah. Coming off an injury or coming back from it, I don't think so. I'm taking State.
Yeah, I like State to rebound. Obviously, Penn State Clifford's a pain in the ass the way he runs, and Dotson's a first-round receiver, but they obviously don't have the offense that Ohio State has. So I think we'll look to bounce back, hopefully get into a New Year's Six bowl here. But I like the Spartans at home.
All right, Fawns across the board.
Fawns. And then the last one here, the Paul Bunyan's Axe. So the 8-3 Wisconsin Badgers traveling to the 7-4 Minnesota Gophers. This game is on 4 p.m. Eastern time on probably the regular Big Ten channel, while the other ones are on the auxiliary ones. So what do you guys think?
Wisconsin is favored by a touchdown and an extra point.
10. Oh, sorry. Touch on an extra point. Okay. What do you think?
I'm going Wisconsin. I think they started off slow, but I think they've been doing what they need to do. They've been kind of back to normal. Minnesota, I just don't trust them yet.
Mike,
I watched them lose to Bowling Green.
Mike, we're on the air here. You can't just be dead quiet for me.
PJ Fleck, quarter zip king. Row the boat, Sky, you mug, go Gophers.
That's what you're picking?
I think, well, hold on. Yep, Gophers cover. Cover.
Wait, are we talking cover or money?
Okay.
Are we doing money line?
You're taking the Badgers to win the game.
Screw it. Badgers win.
Okay. I agree with Joe. Wisconsin's played much better, probably played the way they should have been playing all year long. And they are atop of the Big Ten West, and they would need to win this to stay on top. And Minnesota, though, has a chance at the Big Ten West if they win this and Iowa loses. So this should be a really, really, really hard-fought game. But I think Wisconsin, the way their defense has played lately, I think they pull off a very, very close game. I'd say last possession type thing.
Big Ten has some really good games this week.
Yeah. Some important games. Okay, so that's going to do it for us this week, guys. So follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our Saturday morning betting posts, and please send us your favorite bets for this weekend. This is a massive weekend. Joe's back on betting. He's feeling great. We could all use some help here. Please, sharing is caring.
I'm on heater. Screw you guys.
Hey, I'm heating up too.
Yeah.
Babe.
So join us next week when we talk about an unknown but very unique trophy, the Ally Buck Trophy. So for Mike and Joe, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.